Hello, I'm Jim Cornell from Labiotech, and recently I visited Edinburgh, which isn't that far away from home, and the capital of Scotland is a hotbed of research and biotech companies. I went to talk to two of them that have been in the news recently, MiAlgae and IntelliDigest, and this interview is with MiAlgae, a company using science and technology to improve food security and reduce the impact of humanity on the planet.
So MiAlgae is a biotechnology company based on the circular economy really as a core, and we've developed a platform that allows us to really produce exciting products from byproducts of the food and drinks industry really. And so our first focus is producing omega-3s from the co-products of the whiskey industry, and that's been going now since 2016, and we're just expanding that platform at the moment and really starting to take off, which is very exciting.
All right, so can you kind of take me through the process of how it all works?
Yeah, so the process that we use at MiAlgae really is about generating the right recipes and optimizing feedstocks that are imperfect. So instead of using virgin feedstocks that are very precise and pristine, we use something like a byproduct as the base, and then we tweak that and we adjust it so that we're able to grow our microbes on it. Effectively, we've got another side to it, which allows us to, with a proprietary fermentation and pre-processing step, allows us to use much cheaper equipment to do that, which drives the techno-economics of the whole system. And that gets us into the range of omega-3s more than fine chemicals from biotech.
I think that's one of the biggest knocks against a lot of so-called sustainable products, is that the price is just so high that it's unrealistic to produce at scale.
Yeah, and it's certainly been our key focus is techno-economics first. So build the platform, build the technology so that it works for that price point rather than building the price point from the technology.
And how do you connect the microalgae with what you're producing? Are there other products that you can produce as well?
Yeah, so there's a number of other products we can produce, but effectively what we're using is the byproducts as food for our bugs. And so our bugs produce the omega-3s innately. So omega-3s aren't produced by fish, they're accumulated by fish, and so we're kind of taking out that middleman and producing it from the bottom up using something that's not quite as defined.
Right, so obviously has big sustainability credentials.
Yeah, big sustainability credentials, keeping the fish in the ocean and saving a chunk of CO2. I mean, most of the fish that are used for omega-3s come from South America in particular, and so you're shipping container loads of fish over to feed people and animals.
Right, omega-3s from plant sources, and not that, well, you can get them, but it's not as easy to find.
Yeah.
So is that part of the equation as well?
Yeah, it's certainly a part of the equation, and it is a vegan omega-3 product that we produce. It's got all that sustainability credentials, and down the road, obviously, if we can start to skip out the feed and get it straight into people, that's a big part. But I think for us, it's very much about taking a pragmatic view and saying, well, perfect shouldn't be the enemy of good, and if we can't get it all the way right away, let's get it to where we can and leave at least some of the fish in the sea.
And so the omega-3s that you're producing, what do you do with the omega-3s once you've got them?
Yeah, so at the moment our omega-3s come in the form of an algal biomass, so they're encapsulated within the algal cells, so it ends up as a powder, and that powder gets mixed into feed formulations for animal feeds at the moment. That's the initial target for market.
All right, and so is there because obviously when you're talking about animal products, is there a plan to utilize them in other areas? Or?
Yeah, certainly. So I think for us it is about improving the sustainability of the products that are already there, and then going that next step and starting to look at how you can get a fish-free fish type product down the road. And obviously there's some of those cell-based meats and things like that are becoming more and more exciting. It's about how we make sure that it's sustainability from the bottom up, not just on the packaging.
That's right. Yeah. And as far as that goes, are you creating the omega-3s to sell on to other companies to make their products, or are you planning on making the end product?
At the moment, we're focusing very much on that platform and producing the feedstock to sell on to other people. Obviously, there's a number of conversations about opportunities that we've got with that now, and it'll be an interesting few years in terms of where we get to.
A good problem to have.
It's a good problem to have, yeah.
And are you expanding to Stirling, or are you moving to Stirling?
So we're expanding in Stirling. So we've got a site out in Stirling at the moment with our technical demonstrator on it, and we're now expanding that with another 8 vessels, and really looking to grow the company and the production volumes that get us to that all-important commercial proof point.
All right. So is this something that you could replicate and put into many different locations?
Yeah, that's exactly it. And so the way we've built it is that it's built in modules, and so we're able to really build these modules onto distilleries, and we've got a number of conversations ongoing at the moment in terms of where the next modules might go. And so instead of shipping those co-products across the countryside, we will just be shipping algae paste effectively, which is again really good on the CO2 side and just in general logistics and economics.
Yeah. So do you pick places that are both good for the raw material that you're using and also for transportation? Because it would be great being near a distillery in the north of Scotland, but it's not necessarily great for transporting that once you've made the products.
Yeah, so I mean it is obviously a mixed bag, but I think the really important bit for us is that transporting the raw product is an order of magnitude at least less than transporting the water around. So even if you are in really remote areas where it's often difficult to get rid of these co-products, we can help and effectively take that as an algae off instead of trying to move co-products across.
And you mentioned this being a byproduct of the alcohol industry. Are there other byproducts that would work as well?
Yeah, there are a number that will work for us, and I think we've got a chunk of really interesting R&D plans, at least in terms of what else we might be able to feed our bugs and what other bugs we might be able to feed in our system. And so there's obviously an interesting commercial opportunity cost benefit analysis going on in terms of what's next. Sure.
And I guess you could also use different microalgae species in order to do things.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's kind of a platform technology that allows us to work with different feedstocks and different organisms, and that gives us a lot of room to play in the biotech space. It's about that market fit and the techno-economics and kind of what we want to target next. And I think our key focus really is that chemicals that aren't produced in a sustainable way at the moment will be our focus, and really looking at where we can add the most value.
Right, because I guess sustainability and feeding people and not wasting food is useful in the fact that you're not just sending stuff to landfill or using it in animal feed or whatever.
That's it. It really is taking a low value feedstock and giving it life again. And that is a big part of the circular economy in terms of how you do that. Obviously there's a couple of different customers that you've got to work with, and there's nuances in all of that, and keeping everyone on track while building the tech is always tricky. But I think we're now at that proof point that allows us to really start running.